All right. Welcome everyone tonight to Monday Night Team Call for BU and Jamie Haskin here, Diamond Ambassador. I'm really excited to dive into a great topic that contains so much meat that I feel like it deserves way more than one team call, but I will see what I can pack into a half hour here. But it's really important when we talk about leading with questions because it's something that I for one, was not conscious about until more recently, the last couple of years, maybe. So 7 years in this business, it's definitely not something that was on my radar at the beginning. It's definitely things that I've learned naturally through, doing this business and leading and your upline and all that. But by really diving into this and just trying to put just a grasp on how coaching works and how you lead and how you can dive deeper and uncover things. There's just so much meat there. So I want to kind of try and uncover some of that on this call tonight. I am going to screen share and see if this works, how I want it to work. All right, Sal, I can see you. Can you see what you're supposed to see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yay. Okay. So there's like a feature where you can do like notes and stuff. So it was a new thing for me. All right. So we're going to dive right into this. In terms of asking questions, it's an important part of learning because we ask questions in order to just learn more about something, right? So we can see how this is going to be helpful when you are working with business builders and with your own business and coaching and things like that. So for me, what I've observed when I see good question askers these last 7 years, leaders who I've looked up to or have seen, what I notice when they ask questions is it helps others feel seen. It helps build a connection between you. It helps with problem solving and coaching, developing people, but it also helps that person learn more information. And a lot of times people who just naturally want to do personal growth and learn more things, ask more questions if you want to learn, right? So I'm going to encourage you guys to take notes tonight, take pictures if you want. I will make the slideshow available, but do what you need to do to kind of process and take some of this in. So first off, why is asking questions important? I kind of listed some things here. Going over them quickly here. It builds connection relationships like I already talked about. It shows that you value others if you're asking questions. It helps you be proactive and actually evaluate what is going on. It increases problem solving skills. It helps you develop leaders. So developing leaders, you help them see another perspective. You analyze together. It's not just you being bossy and telling someone what to do, right? You're being a servant leader. You're being curious. You're going to struggle to lead and develop leaders when you don't know what's going on. So how do you know what's going on? You ask lots of questions. It encourages communication, uncovers root issues, promotes personal growth, allows room for solution-oriented conversation. It brings light to valuable insights. It helps understand how others think, how they work, what's happening, and it uncovers where challenges and unresolved issues might be lying. So you won't be aware, kind of touched on this, of the problems or root issues with your team, with your business builders, unless you are proactive and ask the questions. It's normal to instinctively approach something by your own point of view, right? That's going to be natural by using your own skill set. But if you as a leader can first evaluate and ask questions to understand the person, what is happening and why, then you can see it from another angle and you can uncover effective ways to move forward. Typo. So the thought process behind the question, what is more important than possibly the questions themselves, is the thought process behind this. And why this is important is because then you don't have to sit here and memorize the perfect questions that are going to solve all your problems, right? It's not about that. It's about what is the thought process going on in terms of why you're even asking these questions to begin with. If you are on board with that thought process, then you will naturally ask the questions that you need to ask. So thinking, what is your goal? What do you want to know? to get to know someone better. Is that what you need to get them to know them better? Do you need to figure out why someone is excelling, bringing in business builders? Maybe you need to figure out why someone is struggling with growth. What questions do you need to ask to learn what you are wanting to know? I often hear, I'm not sure why this is happening with my level 1, or, I'm not sure what's going on here. So what questions have you asked to figure it out? All right. And then when you dig even deeper, we often come back to mindset, right? So much comes back to mindset. So the only way to tap into what's going on in someone's head is by asking some of the questions, right? What are they thinking? Why are they thinking it? What's holding them back? Why haven't they stayed consistent? Why haven't they done the steps you talked about on your last coaching call? If you don't know, you just have to simply ask, right? You have to be bold enough to ask the questions instead of just sit there not knowing why something is happening. When you know the holdup, when you know the struggle, then you can help find the solution, right? We don't want to avoid just because you might even think it's bad or think, you're going to get some type of negative answer. Or if you don't know what to do from there, you can always figure that out. Everything's figure outable, right? So the why, do you ask the question, why enough? When I'm getting updates from my leaders or talking to others in general, my first thought process is often why. Why is it going well? Why are they struggling? Do you ask the question why enough? And this looks different in different scenarios. It might not just be straight up why. Your job is to figure out how to ask a question to get that answer. Sometimes it might be why. Oftentimes it includes much more than the why. And why is that? Because someone's response might simply be, I don't know. Well, you can't just stop there, right? So they need help digging deeper. What questions can you ask to uncover the why? So your purpose in asking questions in the first place is to clarify what's going on. You may have some ideas, but be careful not to make any assumptions, right? Don't give up on your questions too early. If you are answered with an I don't know, or even something that seems like a quick surface answer, then you need to ask the question in a different way. Why aren't you doing XYZ? How does it make you feel doing XYZ? So that was like the shift. So if you ask, why aren't you doing it? And you're getting a surface answer or an I don't know, then shift from to a different angle. How does it make you feel when you do this, right? It's just worded a little bit different and you might get a different answer. Sometimes you may ask clarifying questions to understand more of what they are saying and dig deeper. So what I hear you saying is, and then either repeat what they said or even repeat it in a slightly different way. They may say yes and keep elaborating further, or they may say, no, this is what I mean. And then you are getting clarifying answers there. So the cheerleading is what can be getting us in trouble sometimes. And you might have heard me talk about this before a little bit, but cheerleading would be something like being the person that's like, you got this, next time you're going to get this, keep going. You're doing great. You're doing amazing. Now, that isn't necessarily bad to say. It is great to say in the right context and in the right way. But when accompanying just by itself, it can be harmful to helping someone grow. You first need to make sure you're being honest. Are they doing great? If yes, then certainly tell them and share what you see in them, why they're doing great, why they're going to succeed, what they are capable of, right? What qualities you see in them. If they're struggling and they're not doing great, you can still cast that vision and belief in them, saying what they're capable of, right? What you see in them, what they have shown and what they have done. But don't just give them the fluff cheerleading, especially if it comes with no other feedback. So simply telling someone they are doing great all the time is not helping them grow, right? So the two things here is always be specific with what they're doing, and then always add in areas that they can grow or improve or push themselves in, or maybe even what they're doing wrong. Where are they missing the boat? So you can do this effectively by knowing your people, and your people by asking the questions. So the difference between telling and asking, I want to kind of present two ways to look at working through a problem. So you can either approach it as a manager or as a leader. The manager has the fix it mindset, and their first thought is, okay, how can I fix this? They go into go mode. You have the skill set, there's things that you learn. So your person is asking you for your knowledge and how to move forward. So your tendency is probably gonna go straight to, okay, yep, let's fix it. Here's what you do. You're gonna take this action. And you might have a temporary fix of that. It's not that what you're saying is wrong, but you might miss the reason why something is happening and therefore don't even fix the root of the problem. So the second way for as a leader, a learning mindset, it takes more time, it takes more patience. And your first thought is going to be, what can I learn? It involves not jumping to being the expert right away or telling people what you've learned. It requires asking questions and digging deeper. It allows you to find out more about a situation and sometimes allows them to come to their own solutions. It develops them as business builders and leaders by teaching them how to think, what questions to ask, how to dig deeper. So here you uncover layers and you discover what the root problem really is and what actually is not happening, or, something that is, playing a role in the surface part of the problem that you initially uncovered. So some examples. First, example one, someone has a problem with retention. Everyone's quitting, right? So manager fix it mindset, you might go into go mode. You're gonna get people in three-way chats, or you're gonna talk to the people in their three-way chats, figure out what's going on. You're gonna try and get them back on their products. You're gonna tag your level one in a video about retention and onboarding. You're gonna maybe talk about consistency and follow-up and setting expectations and make sure they're doing all the right things, right? Again, not terrible things. Those are all still important. A leader learning mindset in that scenario, you're curious about why people are falling off. Is this normal attrition? Is it a reoccurring problem? You ask questions. Why do you think your people are quitting? Have you talked with each person? What did they say? What are you saying to your potentials before they even join? While you sign them up, walk me through it. Role play that, right? What is their posture for long-term commitment and expectations? Maybe you uncover they are not talking about that. The first layer is implement setting clear expectations and, all the things like that, but you don't stop there. You keep asking questions. Maybe that second layer becomes, why aren't they setting the expectations? You uncover mindset issues. They think their people can't afford it. They don't want to scare people off. They don't think they'll get the person to join if they tell them to stay on it long-term for like 3 to 6 months, right? Maybe they felt this way when they joined and they're projecting it onto their people. So this is the part that if you dig deeper to find some of these root issues, then you can educate, you can build belief, you can do positive affirmations, and you can help them grow through it. It doesn't keep becoming a reoccurring problem. Example number 2, struggling to create business builders. I can't get anyone to work. Right? So fix it manager mindset, give them some verbiage to use to ask people to share. You encourage to use three-way calls. Maybe you tell them, to post and reach out about the business. You tag them in some training videos. Great stuff. But leader learning mindset, you're going to ask yourself again, why are they not creating business builders? What are they doing or what are they not doing? You're going to ask, why do you think they are struggling in this area? What is hard about this? Are you reaching out about the products or about the business? When do you talk about the opportunity? Before, during, after sign up? What do you say? What do you do next? Are you posting about the business? Some things to dig deeper. Maybe you discover that they aren't even mentioning it until their new joins, until they share a victory. Maybe they are talking about it on the phone when signing someone up, but they present it as an option and keep talking versus asking a question and waiting for a response. Maybe they only bring it up once and then never again. Maybe even at this point, someone says, oh yeah, that sounds great, and they have an objection, like they're too busy, or when they see results, or, well, that's just not me. And then they don't really know how to respond after that, or they do, but then they stop the conversation, right? So another layer beyond that is, again, asking why. Is it a skill set they need to learn? Is there likely some mindset things going on? It's out of their comfort zone. They feel pushy. They don't think that a person would want to share, so they don't even dare ask. Again, it's important to dig deeper so you can educate, you can build belief, you can help them see their own limitations that they're putting on their own businesses, and then give them some steps to move forward. Ask if they can do XYZ and get their buy-in and their commitment. If you simply leave it to, well, you should do this and you need to do this, then again, that's a passive thing for the future that should get done versus helping them set a plan and committing to that. So all these things, that's just two examples, but this all applies to great things that are going well too. So if things are going well, ask the same questions. Why is it going well? What are they doing? What do they need to keep doing to keep it moving forward and to stay in momentum or whatever's going on? All right, qualities to embrace. So be curious, have a learning mindset, what's happening and why, lean into your intuition. What are examples of what could be happening that you might need to uncover? You're thinking ahead, you're thinking of all those examples that possibly could be going on under the surface. Be a problem solver, ask questions to dig deeper, be forward thinking. What does future months look like if things continue the way they are? What needs to keep happening and what needs to change or improve? Be humble. So being humble comes along I want to mention that quick, because asking questions to help guide people to their answers sometimes means you're not necessarily getting credit for things. You're helping people discover things themselves, or maybe you not needing to say, I told you so, right? Sometimes it's just, that's just a part of leadership and a part of being humble with that. And then I wanted to pause and flip this around. If you look at all these same qualities and now look at yourself, being willing to hear feedback yourself on your own shortcomings, taking action to improve, not being above hearing what could be missing and where you need to improve. So having that learning mindset yourself, leaning into, your intuition, remaining coachable by listening and reflecting and taking action from your upline, from team calls and trainings, no matter your experience or your length of time or your rank, right? You're looking at these as a leader coaching and working with your people. So we also have to look at it from this perspective for ourselves, as a leader, reflecting on yourself and asking your upline. There's a reason John Maxwell says it's important to lead yourself first, and it's often the hardest thing to do. So how is this personally impactful for your business? I wanted to ask some of my leaders some important questions that I thought were insightful in terms of, hold on one second. Okay, sorry, I had to check on where was my notes. I was losing track. Okay, so let me back up. Leaning into asking more questions, it's going to improve how you coach, what you learn, how you help others, and it matters because it's impactful for running your business, right? So this is what I wanted to show you guys, because some leaders answer some questions I had that I think is insightful to adding value to why this is something to dig into and to develop and to keep learning. I am continuing to learn through this and through others as well. So some things that they responded and said were, it makes me have to think and strategize. They make me realize the ball is in my court and I need to take action and not just rely on my team. Another one is it helps stay focused and accountable, helps determine and work through roadblocks. Sometimes you can recognize a roadblock that I can't necessarily see myself, and helped process through why I was thinking a certain way. A couple others said mindset was a huge part, also had helped tremendously with imposter syndrome that stemmed way back, uncovering deep-rooted blocks that continue to surface and dealing with them head on. Incredible vision casting, accountability. It's helped me all over become a better, more self-aware, intuitive leader. So being coached, this is feedback from being coached. And this matters over time, the consistency, right? Not just periodically. How are you utilizing this? Are you doing coaching calls with your upline? Are you asking for them? Are you utilizing them? Are you asking questions? We're actually going to get to that in a second too. Another question I asked some leaders is, how have you noticed it help your people as you then in turn coached your business builders? And they said some of these things. I won't necessarily read them all here, but it opens the door for troubleshooting, builds confidence and skills, meet them where they're at. They have a bigger vision. They put forth a stronger effort because they feel like they're working part of a team, helps with culture. It builds trust. It has mindset breakthroughs, confidence building, consistency. Gives insight to what's really going on in their business, what they are teaching people, their mindset, personal life, things like that. So lots of things noticing when you're working with your people consistently on that. Can you imagine the impact on your business, right? If these are happening regularly? Okay, so these are a lot of questions, the next 3 slides, and I'm actually going to get done on time tonight, surprisingly. Okay, so questions to create business builders. I wanted to, after going through all that, I just kind of wanted to give a resource for everybody so that you can utilize this if that is helpful. I will have this again, PowerPoint available, and you can take a picture or utilize what you want to here. But when you are, a lot of people, I know it's the big old question often is, you want more business builders, right? So what are questions you are intentionally asking to create business builders? I put some in here, but I also asked leaders this to know what's going on in the field and what people are asking and what's being successful and they're utilizing. So things like, could an extra stream of income benefit you or your family? Being really specific on all of these, I think the key thing, I don't even really need to read all these, you can read these, but the key thing is asking the question, right? It's not just telling them about something and then skirting by. It's giving yourself room to breathe and wait for an answer. And if you're on the phone, that can be uncomfortable sometimes. It can be uncomfortable to wait for silence, and it might not be what is normal, but it is absolutely okay. And it's extremely recommended to do things out of your comfort zone. So if you do not ask questions like this on the phone or on 3-way calls, then you need to start. So that is my challenge for you, but they can be asked in chats as well. Getting specific with telling people about what they have to offer, right? I mean, you have health products and you have a financial opportunity. So if you're only sharing about the health products or not letting people know both sides, you're missing the boat with what someone is able to do this business, right? So ask the questions and then you can always go from there. So these are several questions. Some of them bring up a certain amount of cash. If I could show you how to fit this into your day, is anything you'd be curious to take a look at? So you can dig deeper in different ways. Have you ever thought about doing something like this? Plain and simple. Yeah, so you guys can read those. Okay. Next one is questions to develop leaders. So as you're working with business builders who come in, that would be, these would be questions that you'd want to be utilizing with them on coaching calls as you're helping train them, things like that. So again, here's 25 questions, but just to give you a resource, what's your goal for the month and what are you going to do to get there? So you get specific. What are you going to do differently if your goal is bigger than the previous month? Tell me more about that. That's not a question, but that's one I use a lot too. And so you're telling me that there's your clarifying question. What's your biggest fear? I have one of those repeated on there. Sorry. What have you been avoiding? What is holding you back from doing that? So if things are still kind of going in circles, not being afraid to just ask them. Sometimes they know what the struggle is and they will uncover it themselves. Lots of whys. What's going good right now? What feels hard right now? What's your goal for the week? So lots of questions here. And then questions to develop yourself. Hold on, did I miss? Nope, I'm good. Okay, questions to develop yourself. So you should always be asking yourself questions and your upline. So if you're not doing that, I'm going to also encourage you to walk away from this call and start being more intentional about asking your upline questions, and even yourself and self-reflecting. So things like that could be, if things changed in your business, what were you doing then that you're not doing now? What's changed? If what things do you see that I could be doing differently? Asking your upline. If you're noticing yourself pulling back or feeling different, reflect on that. Why is that? What am I avoiding? What am I doing that's getting me out of my comfort zone? What lies are trying to take over in my head? What do I think that's holding me back? What areas do you see that I should improve on? What's your personal growth plan? How am I showing visible leadership? How can I improve my leadership? What are my strengths? Where's my mindset at? So these are questions that you can kind of dig in to yourself and be intentional about. One leader, Leah, shared 2 analogies that I think is worth repeating. And I wanted to give her credit because that's not for me, but 2 analogies that I think it's good to end on. First is when running your business, there's going to be fruit, right? There's going to be good fruit. There's going to be bad fruit. So a wrong or poor mindset can bring bad fruit. And if there's something that isn't bearing good fruit, then you have to dig in to reveal it, to reveal what's happening under the surface, right? So that's one analogy of why all of this is so very important. Second analogy is picturing ourselves like a bucket that leaks. And so even if we have, feel filled up, or we've learned various skills, all these kind of things, we have to be constantly pouring into ourselves and reevaluating and pouring into areas where we see lack, where there are strongholds, right? Because that's just something that is ongoing. It doesn't just stop. We don't fill it up once. So just 2 analogies to kind of take with you. And, all in all, we have to be coachable enough to hear the hard things and take action, because it takes being humble and being open and being receptive in order to move forward. And it's only helpful if action goes with that, right? So what action are you going to take leaving this call tonight? What are some areas you can improve on, or even just questions you can ask, or things you can be more intentional in? And that's what I got for you guys. 10 o'clock. Thanks for joining us tonight on Team Call, and you all have a good night.